Welcome to this video. We're going to help you get started with the EgoSMS API so that you can automatically send SMSs to your customers straight from your system. First of all, you may want to know what an API is. So an API, in full, it is an application programming interface. It is a way for two or more systems to interact with each other automatically. So what the EgoSMS API does, it's going to help your system to interact with the EgoSMS system in order to automatically send messages straight from within the application. For example, if a user signs up, you can send them an OTP message. OTP means one-time password, in order to verify their identity through something like an email or an SMS, of course. Then if a user requests to reset their password, you can still send them an SMS through the API without needing to manually intervene. First of all, you're going to have a custom system or application with which you're going to integrate the API to start sending custom messages, custom SMS to your clients. Secondly, you're going to have to create an account with EgoSMS. And you can do that by visiting egosms.co to create a free account with which you'll be able to obtain your API credentials, which are the API key and the API username, which will help you authenticate into the API in order to send messages. So this is how the API works. First of all, your system is going to send a request to the EgoSMS API server. This request will include your authentication details, which are the API key and the API username. The request will also contain the message details, which is a list of the numbers for your clients and the message to be sent to them. Then, the EgoSMS server will process this request and send the SMSs to your recipients. Then the API will return a response to your system indicating whether the messages were sent successfully or whether they failed to be sent. So moving on, we'll want to choose an appropriate API request and response format. The EgoSMS API supports three request and response formats. First of all, there is the JSON request, which will provide you with a JSON response. There's an XML request, which will provide you with an XML-based response. And then there's an HTTP GET request, which will use query parameters, and it will provide you with a plain text response. So what you'll choose will be most probably the JSON request and response format, because it is human readable, it is lightweight, and it is widely acceptable as the API standard for sending and receiving API requests and responses. So once you log in to your EgoSMS account, you're going to navigate to your settings screen. And from there, you navigate to your API settings, where you'll be shown your API username and your API password. You're going to copy these details because that's what you'll use to authenticate into the API. So once you've copied those credentials, you're going to use them in your system by sending a JSON payload which contains the method, which is the send SMS method, or a balance method, and then the user data, which is your username and your password, and then the message data, as I'm going to show you here. So what you're going to do is you're going to have your app send a request to this URL, https www.egoSMS.co/API/v1/JSON. Is going to send a post request to this URL with the following JSON contents. This is the method send SMS, or balance in case you're using the balance method. Then user data is going to have the username where we're going to place what we had on the system. And then for the password, we're going to replace it with the API password which we had on the system. And then this is message data. I hope you can recognize this. This is spelled MSG data. So the message data is now where we're going to place the list of numbers and the messages being sent. So each of these objects contains a number which is formatted starting with 256, then the rest of the numbers. So you don't have to add a plus here, it's just plain as you can see here. So 256, for example, 700111222, or whichever numbers your clients have. Then the messages, of course the messages can be different. Then the sender ID, in case you have a custom sender ID, you can use this field. And then priority, in case you have a custom priority you want to use. The priority ranges are from 0 up to 4. And the priority ranges are from 0 up to 4. And these two fields are optional. So you can omit them from your objects, and the system will choose default ones. So once we send this, as you can see down here, this is the response from the EgoSMS API server, which indicates the status of your request, which is okay in my case. Then we have the message follow-up unique code, which is a unique code for each of the API requests, and then the cost for sending the messages. So I sent 2 messages, each of them costs 35 shillings. That's why in total it's 70 shillings. As a conclusion, with this example I've just shown you, I hope that you have understood how to easily integrate the EgoSMS API into your system. For more examples like this, and for more detailed explanations, you can visit developers.pahapa.com in order to look at further examples and explanations and documentation on all the different methods available to you from this EgoSMS API. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.